So another mayor for the embattled city of Johannesburg, following Dr Mpho Phalatse's defeat in that motion of no confidence yesterday. So while political warfare continues in what sometimes seem to be tenuous coalition horse trading, the city's residents look for leadership, good governance and service delivery. Will it come? Those are the big questions that we want to unpack in the next, well, I suppose in the next couple of days, but in the next weeks and months ahead as we have a new mayoral chain bearer. Let's talk now to political analyst Rebone Tau. Rebone, good evening to you and welcome. This election described as a victory for minorities. You saw the convivial and jovial atmosphere in that news conference then, the bigger ANC and EFF along with the PA making this happen. How do you see it in the context of the bigger versus the smaller players?
Good afternoon, Iman, and good afternoon to the viewers at home. I think this is very interesting. That means that our politics in South Africa are changing, where we can see now, that minority parties are actually taken serious and not taken for granted by the big parties. Because in the past, you've always had the big parties, the ones bulldozing, and that's what led to the collapse of the coalition that was led by the DA, because the DA did not want to come to the table regarding some of the agreements. We have had Action SA speak on some of them not wanting to accommodate Patriotic Alliance. But this is also refreshing, especially around Thapelo, someone that I knew of a few years back, when I spoke to some people within the city and they spoke about his character.
And some would say, okay, been in Al Jamaa, I think, since 2019, and this is only the most popular party in the country, now wearing the chain. How does this stack up with the trust that voters put in parties to carry forward their aspirations?
Unfortunately, if you listen also to the Premier of Gauteng, there was no outright winner in the 2021 local government elections, So no party actually has got a proper mandate to actually lead the city of Johannesburg. And this is why we're sitting here with coalitions, And yes, Al Jamaa is a very small party, which does not even contest in all, I think, wards. You can even look at when they even have by-elections. You'll never hear that Al Jamaa is contesting in those by-elections. But it's good for our democracy, in a sense of that we are not having one party or two parties that want to dictate, in terms of what must happen in the different municipalities, but where political parties, are able to engage and listen to each other and give each other space, because the arrogance of the ANC, for an example, collapsed them in Ekurhuleni, and I think they have learned a lesson from what happened in Ekurhuleni when Mzwandile Masina wanted to be the mayor again most recently, and the EFF having to take a step back, and now coming back to Johannesburg, they knew, the ANC, that should they be arrogant about it, the DA will come back again. And that's what we saw in Ekurhuleni, the DA coming back again because of how the ANC played politics. So it's good to see that our democracy is really maturing, that minority parties are also given space, in this democracy.
Yeah, maturing is the word that you would use, and I'm sure there would be, quite a spread of adjective to describe what is happening here. But this was the result, Rebone, of a strategy, minority party leaders securing majority party support. The big question for everyone is, will it bring stability?
No, one hopes that that this will bring stability, because it is not about the parties themselves, but it's about the citizens of Johannesburg, in terms of service delivery. And one hopes that because of this coalition that we have seen, that the negotiations that have made, parties will really focus on service delivery. And I can tell you, yesterday when I was speaking to someone within the ANC, they were a bit concerned, that the newly elected mayor might be close to some within the factions of the ANC in Johannesburg, and it should help him to actually stay away from the factional politics of Johannesburg in the ANC and just be the mayor of the people of Johannesburg and serve the people of Johannesburg with humility at all times.
So this has been, like a series, I suppose, for the city of Johannesburg, and not only the city of Johannesburg, everywhere where coalitions exist, and we witness the changing that happens that comes with, you know, this kind of non-permanent nature of these coalitions. You saw Colleen Makubele saying the new leadership is going to respect the office of the Speaker, so they're going to have a really great relationship. And it seems like everything is going to go well, but we know that these things are temporary. How best can coalitions actually be regulated in South Africa? And talk to us specifically about some of the executive mayoral systems around, you know, how they can operate with more, you know, with more kind of, I mean, I don't know if oversight is the right word, but how they can operate in a more strict fashion.
I think one must start by saying that coalitions, you know, in their nature, they're very complex. And being complex, I mean, especially now it's worse when it's minorities that are now leading, you know, like, for example, the mayoral committee and so forth. So what should just happen? I think the big parties must give space, because it's a matter of principle. It's a matter about ethical leadership. Give space to the minority parties as they've given them a chance to lead, whether as speaker or whether as the mayor, you know, of the one of the biggest metros, not only in South Africa, but also in the African continent. So leaders have to really commit to those agreements, you know, and not be after tenders, because what collapses this negotiations also at times is the issue of tenders, you know, because a certain group is not getting a tender there, and they start being difficult towards each other.
And that's the problem, are these, you know, sort of external pressures and opportunists that really undermine the way governance can happen, especially in a city as fraught as ours here in Johannesburg. Rebone, as always, we appreciate your analysis. That was political analyst Rebone Tau talking to us about the breaking news this afternoon. Joburg has a new mayor, Taphela Ahmed from the Al Jamaa Party.